Alternative Reality, Volume 1, Chapter 14. Blazing skeletal figures flailed about as Whale flew around his signature spell, lips twisted into a sinister sneer. He was quite happy. Survived the lethal fall, got a new interesting class, new spells, and soon he'd be wearing new attire. Something that didn't reek of poverty and failed aspirations. Using the fresh exit that opened up after the fancy light show Whale was subject to, he was on the hunt for prey. More than 2 days were left before the weekly loot and experience bonus expired, and he was not planning on leaving early. Outside of the chamber, he encountered new enemies, possessed bodies of the deceased. Skeletal forms in ragged clothing, wielding rusted or even broken weapons. Not to say that they didn't look formidable in their own special way, but those dry bones and clothes just burned so well. Whale couldn't help but exploit such a glaring weak spot. End result? Custom lighting in the lowest part of the dungeon. With Life Tap, Whale almost had an unlimited supply of fireballs. Thus, he just went about doing what he always did inside Alternative Reality, bringing back a little spark to the game. Or a lot of sparks. In addition to running around and avoiding the enemy until they turned to ash. Whale was having fun, and it was just beginning. It didn't take long for Whale to reach level 75. Wasn't very hard either. Though the loot down here was terrible, nothing useful at all. Even the loot bonus didn't fix the situation. All Whale got was a pair of worn down slippers. Not much use in winter. Agnes footwear. Description: worn by Agnes the Enlightened, an anxious and clumsy magician who dreamed of glory and conquest below earth. Went down into a random cave searching for adventure. Never returned. Durability: 17 out of 31. Defense: 4. Restrictions: level 10. Any magician class. Plus 10 wisdom, plus 15 intellect, plus 200 mana. May cause the owner to slip by accident. New shoes, a dagger, and a robe. Whale felt quite excited. Even took a whiff of his new robe, which resulted in a fit of coughing and a new addition to his what not to do ever again list. Smelled better than the previous one though. It was finally time to review the fruits of his labor. Character name: Whale. Level: 75. Class: Warlock. Reputation: minus 306. Title: Heretic. Souls: 35. Experience: 15.3%. Whale's health was now at a 3,280. Mana was at 3,960. Stamina at 1,480. Whale's strength was 20. Intellect 265. Agility 10. Precision 10. Fortitude at 50. Wisdom at 185. His attack increased due to the dagger, so now it was from 35 to 53. Defense remained at a pathetic 64. Charisma at a sad 8. Luck was at 11. Leadership was at a 31. Fame at 300. Whale's health regeneration was at a 6 health per second, and mana regeneration was at 15 mana per second. Magic resistance. Whale was resistant to fire magic by 25%, to water magic by 5%, to nature 0%, to black magic 20%, to light magic minus 10%, and to nether magic 10%. For now, Whale still had 44 unspent stat points. His overall statistics were also affected by additional factors. He was losing -1 charisma due to his appearance, -3 charisma due to having below 0 reputation. He gained +6 leadership due to fame, and he gained +250 health and +150 defense due to fortitude, +1250 mana and +6 mana regeneration due to his intellect, while his magic resistance was what it was because of the warlock class. Whale also received some title bonuses. Hated by all major religions. Accepted by all evil religions. Contact with a member of any major religion may cause them to drop into a religious fervor, pursuing you with psalms and religious signs. Double negative effect upon killing or dying by the hand of a member of any major religion. May force subjugation parties to be unleashed upon the player. Will hunt until success or destruction. Triple experience for killing a member of any major religion. +5 mana regeneration. +10% mana. +10% spell damage. Whale spent the next 10 minutes admiring his own status screen. Somebody had to. After all, he did work hard enough to earn a pat on the shoulder. And since he had no friends to do it for him, Whale had to do it himself. Patting his own shoulder felt somehow backwards, though. He'd get back to it later. Now, he had another unexpected development underway. While strolling around with a loaf of bread in his mouth, Whale met an old acquaintance, Bob. Oh, what a pleasant surprise. He could hardly contain himself. Bob was leaning against the wall, hemorrhaging profusely. It didn't seem like it would end well for the poor fella. Once Bob noticed the familiar face, he weakly reached out towards Whale. One didn't need to be a genius to realize his request. But this was Whale. He quickly scurried towards him and rummaged through Bob's pockets, scavenging every single little thing, like poor Bob's fate was already written in stone. Well, always practical, no matter the situation. It's not like you'll need any of that where you're going. Whale shrugged at Bob's displeased yet pleading stare. No conscience at all. And it's not like the bandit could do anything about it. He lost too much blood and was nearing his last seconds of existence, staring at Whale with those puppy dog eyes of his. A hard thing to bear, surely. Thus, who could blame Whale for what he did next? Whale looked at his newly acquired dagger, its edge shining in an alluring purple. Shrugged. Guess this was the perfect opportunity to test out its effects. A stab, a gasping last breath, and the deed was done. Soon, though, purple streams of light started to gather from the corpse, right into Whale's blade, as if the bandit's very soul was entering a new vessel. A lovely spectacle. For a moment, Whale was afraid his dagger would turn into one of those purple light sticks people used in those crazy concerts he saw on television. Not something he'd like to run around in hand with. Would totally ruin his style. Would make it damn hard to skulk in darkness as well. Luckily, it was soon over, and the dagger returned to its usual sheen. But the victim didn't seem to respond. So much for that eye-numbing charade. Yet, soon enough, Bob opened his eyes and stood up with a nonchalant expression. It's almost like the guy had gone for a short stroll, only to return home without encountering any surprises. Wounds completely healed, as new as he'll ever be. For some reason I have this urge to obey your every command, which makes me feel quite uncomfortable and safe at the same time, Bob then said, after a short ritual of touching himself all over. Whale, slightly embarrassed, looked away during it. He was pleased with Bob's words, though. Not so much with the ritual, but all was in the past now. He had the perfect method to test his loyalty as well. "Where'd you stash your loot?" he asked suddenly. No introductions, no explanations, mercilessly, cold-bloodedly, greedily. Basically, like his usual self. Nothing out of the ordinary. Probably another reason why he didn't have any friends. Always doing things in his own pace. Why would I tell you that?" Bob then replied, giving his new master the weird eye. "What? Just because I offered you my undying allegiance, does that mean I have to tell you every single one of my secrets? What's next? You'll want to know if I wash after a number 2? He went on. Whale was dumbfounded, smacking his own forehead in frustration. He just couldn't believe this. What was the point in the whole obey the master's will bullcrap then? This whole master-servant system was obviously flawed. Whale was about to fold, but decided to give it one more go. A flick of the finger, a little spark, and Whale was about ready to roast a minion. "What use are you to me if you won't obey? What was all that undying allegiance crap anyway?" A slight glare. Seems like Whale was seriously disappointed. A man with broken dreams is one not to be trifled with. An effective method of communication, though. It seemed to work on Bob just fine. All the resistance gone like it was never there to begin with. He backed off a step or two, waved his hands defensively, and stared at Whale with innocent eyes. "Whoa, calm down, man. It's not like I said anything about not telling you or anything." Whale raised an eyebrow to that, which demanded and eventually got an explanation. "Look," Bob said after rubbing the back of his neck, features twisting into a serious and almost sincere expression. Did not fit the whole bandit role at all. Quite out of character. "Just because I don't want to share all of my deepest secrets with you does not mean I oppose your obvious rule. You have my soul, for God's sake. Not much I can do about it," he said while shrugging. "Thus I'll roll with you and fight for you. I understand that your well-being kind of dictates my own. So, partners?" A touching story. Bob extended a hand towards Whale, looking at him hopefully. He thought the act worked. Didn't fool Whale at all. Nothing gets through his keen senses, his animal-like instincts. Did he actually think he could distract Whale with such superficial pleasantries? Or not, because it seemed like it got through to Whale after all. A barely contained smile appeared on his lips. This was probably the first time ever he experienced something of the sort, and it looked like Whale did not know how to react properly. A quick flick of the wrist, and Bob was jumping around, trying to put out the fire on his left foot. Fine, Whale replied eventually. By now, he managed to hide the smile. Back to his usual self. Violence always helps. He rummaged through his satchel and took out an old rusted sword. Here, your sword, Whale then said, downcast, as he gave away the weapon. For free. Ridiculous. Bob looked at it suspiciously, though, completely ignorant of the sacrifice. Wait, this is my sword? I don't know where you got this piece of junk metal, but mine was way better, replied Bob, inspecting the gifted sword with visible disgust. Whale had a hard time controlling his temper. The nerve of this guy. All that sweet talk was obviously an act. A sudden urge to light Bob on fire again struck Whale. Take it or leave it. Now show me your status screen, before I decide to brighten you up, Whale then bluffed with an overdone frown. He wasn't going to burn him. Not yet. There was no real point to it. If what the bandit said was true, he might serve as quite the ally. Thus, like it or not, the two were stuck together. For a time. Luckily, Bob only mumbled something under his nose, and did as he was bid. Character name, Bob, NPC. Level 67. Class, Dark Minion. Reputation, minus 156. Experience, 15.3%. Souls, 0. Bob's health was at a 4020. Mana, 1005. Stamina at 2010. His strength was at 150. Intellect was at a 10. Agility 65. Fortitude 150. Wisdom 10. Precision 10. His attack was at from 94 to 195. Defense was at 120. Charisma was 16. Leadership 18. Luck was 10. His fame was 56. Bob had 15 health per second health regeneration and 2 mana per second mana regeneration. His magic resistance was Fire 10%, Water 0, Nature minus 10%, Black Magic 20%, Light Magic minus 15%, and Nether Magic 15%. Some of the resistances seem to have been influenced by Whale. From him he got 10% Black Magic resistance, 10% Fire, and 5% Nether Magic resistance. While from his own class he got 10% Black Magic resistance, 10% Nether, minus 15% Light, and minus 10% Nature. He lost 1 Charisma point from low reputation, and gained 1 point of leadership due to his fame. Satisfactory stats. A real meat shield. Bob would prove useful indeed. Now that I think about it, where's the rest of your crew? Whale then asked, giving his surroundings a quick look over as if he expected some sudden ambush. Bob was quite saddened by the question, shoulders slumped ever so slightly. Whale remained suspicious though. Probably dead by now. Once that strange fiery thing broke in, we all bailed in different directions, he started explaining in a gloomy tone. I ran into a lot of monsters on my way here. Wouldn't be surprised if the same happened to the rest. Whale scratched his chin while nodding, a sinister glint in the eye. Oh yes, less competition. Now that everyone else was dead, and Bob was more or less his minion, everything inside this dungeon was surely all his. Though that flaming candle might prove to be a hindrance in need of disposing of. All in due time, Whale needed a rest. It was time to log off. Hide somewhere, and don't you dare die before I get back. Got it? He said, waving his bony finger at the new servant like a fatherly figure would. A true figure of care and understanding. Bob scoffed at it though. Why are you, my mom? I'll do whatever I want, he replied, while hiding behind some dark corner as ordered. Fantastic. Will rubbed his temple in frustration, and then left this world for another, the unfaithful bastard that he was.